Sanctions made Russians rich. Yes, I get such comments under my videos, and you know, this week I received a very long comment from a woman from the USA, and she was complaining that actually, oh my god, that actually I'm rich having 2 properties, while in America many people don't have any place to live. You know, okay, let's dive into that comment, and here I just want to give you a little disclaimer. I cannot consider that comment a hate comment. This woman just stated her opinion, and of course she was a little bit complaining a little bit, but in the end she gave some positive attitude to my channel, to me, so I think that she just expressed her pain, her what really concerns her. So this comment is not a hateful comment, but it was a very, you know, expressive and emotional comment, and I decided to give my feedback to that woman. So let's start. So that was a comment about my room in the shared apartment, which I actually sold already, and about my apartment, and about me being actually rich of having 2 pieces of property in Russia. Well, I'm specifying that Russians are mostly poor. That was a really long comment, so I will be commenting that comment in parts. So what's crazy is that you shared your mother's place with us in Belarus, and I think I recall you stating her lovely apt with balcony cost only 13 grand, versus that room with a dumpy bathroom that's fallen apart with mold. My questions are, why didn't you move to this room you already had that was more affordable at least than this new place? I understand the bathroom is bad, but you said it was going to be remodeled soon. Yes, it's only 1 room, but it was more affordable. Is it not located where you need to be? I'm just wondering if I'm missing some facts here as to why, because it doesn't seem like the most economically responsible decision, and I'm also gotta wonder how come you don't get an adorable place in Belarus, as apparently they have much nicer to offer for far less. Maybe less employment opportunities, but it is not as though Russia is going to be in a great position now as you've experienced. Okay, let me comment on that. Yes, my mother's apartment in Belarus cost $13,000, and it's quite affordable for me, especially if we consider that I moved from St. Petersburg to that town. It's not a city, it's a town of 12,000 people population. So yes, I saved some money, and I would afford that kind of apartment. But you know, unfortunately, Belarus is not... Господи. But you know, unfortunately, Belarus doesn't have many opportunities regarding jobs. You know, several years ago, I was considering moving from St. Petersburg to Minsk, and my friends, my school friends who live in Minsk now, they even offered me a job opportunity, because in one of the companies where they work, there was a position of an interpreter, and it's my profession. I'm an interpreter by profession, and you know, I was always dreaming of working as an interpreter, not translator, as an interpreter. They even told me that I would have an opportunity to travel to Europe, because their director used to travel to Europe, and he was quite an old man, and he didn't know English. That's why he needed an interpreter to travel with him. But they said your salary will be about $400. And you know, when I just heard that number, I just was like, how will I be living for $400? Even in Minsk, even in Belarus, it's not enough for comfortable living for a young woman, you know. So unfortunately, that was not a very good option for me, because as I told you, Belarus don't, even in Minsk, they don't have many great opportunities for work, only if you are an IT specialist. But you know, they had a strong political crisis in 2020, which is kinda is ongoing now too. But you know, after that, many IT companies that were presented in Belarus, they relocated their businesses to other countries. And you know, unfortunately, I don't have the mindset for suitable for becoming an IT specialist. Unfortunately, I will not be able to become an IT specialist. It's not my mindset, really. I'm not very good with technologies. I'm not very good with computer. You know, yes, I can type something. I can manage my laptop, you know, but you most probably remember my problem with live streams, that I was only able to solve in a month, you know. After I read a lot about that, so on the internet. So you know, people who live in Belarus in small towns like my mom's town, they even have less opportunities for jobs, you know. If I move to my mom's town, I will have no place to work at all, unfortunately. Okay. So you know, when you say that Russia soon will have less opportunities economically, you are right, but you must understand that Belarus is dependent on Russia in many spheres, economical spheres, and that means that Belarus also will have economical problems, maybe less than in Russia, because many, you know, like bank cards, SWIFT, some banks are blocked from SWIFT even in Belarus, but yes, Visa cards are working in Belarus, but you know, it's not a very good opportunity for me, I think, especially now. Maybe when I will retire, then I will move to Belarus, but not now. And now a little bit about my former room in a shared Kommunalka apartment, which I sold already, so I don't have two pieces of property now. I have only one piece of property, which is not quite mine. It's the property of bank, actually. Now, if I will not be able to pay for my apartment, it will go to the bank, so it's not fully mine, you know, for now. So okay, why didn't I choose to live in my room in a shared apartment? So as I told you in the video, I think I told you in the video that in that apartment there are 3 rooms. One belonged to me, another room belonged to a woman who rented that room out, and the third room belonged to the city. So in the room which belonged to the city, a woman lives, and she lives from the moment of the I don't know, like the commissioning moment of this apartment building. So she rents that room from a city. It's not quite renting, she signs a document with the city, and she, as far as I know, she pays only for bills. I don't know if she pays rent, but it's quite, we call it like a rent, but I don't know if she have to pay for the rent. So this woman is in her 60s now, and just think about it. This woman lives in that room with her grown-up son. And that son looks like he's maybe 27 or even 30 years old, and they live together. Two of them live in one room, single room, which is smaller than my room. Just imagine that. When I bought that room in 2013, I just got curious why she continued to live in that room with her grown-up son, and I asked her actually, why do you live here? Why don't you do anything to buy your own apartment? And you know what she said to me? She said, while I'm renting this room, I don't have to pay for maintenance of this room. So if, for example, some pipe gets a leakage, she doesn't pay for it. She's just called to the service company, and they come to the apartment and repair that for free, because she is not the owner. She is like a rentee, or like a, I don't know, like what is it called? It's called like договор социального найма, but I don't know if she pays the rent. So that was her answer. She doesn't have to pay for the maintenance. Just imagine, she doesn't buy her own apartment not to be paying for maintenance of that apartment. What kind of mindset is that? I think that is a mindset of a poor person. So the other room that was being rented out, about 6 years ago, a tenant died there. And in some time, maybe 2 weeks later, we found out that that tenant had AIDS. As far as I know, I didn't live there. So this woman just told me that a policeman came to our apartment and said that guy who died here had AIDS. My dear friends, do you think that is the best environment for a young woman like me, who wants to achieve more in her life, who wants to become wealthier, who wants to earn more, and eventually to become a middle class, And I forgot to tell you that this woman who rents that room from the city, she was quite bossy and a little bit, grumpy about everything. So it's not very nice to live actually there, especially when tenants die of AIDS. Okay, what did I do with my shared apartment room? I was also rented it out, and I got around 10 or 11,000 rubles for it a month, and I got that money, and that money I was using to rent myself an apartment, and all I can afford was an apartment which we call in Russia granny design apartment, which cost me around 16,000 rubles a month plus bills. So it was around 18,500 rubles in summer, and around 20,000 rubles, like 19,500 rubles in winter when we have heating on. So from my salary, I had only to take around 800 8,000 rubles to be able to pay for my apartment that I rented for myself. But I ended up with a rented apartment and with a monthly mortgage payment. Of course it was not very affordable to me, and that's why my mom and my dad, who was alive at that time, they helped me to pay my monthly mortgage payment, and in this way we were able to pay more than it was a monthly payment. So what did I do? I had my full-time job and I had 2 side jobs to be able to pay more than my monthly payment. So I was tutoring people English. I was teaching English to people. I had two students, and I helped my aunt, who also lives in St. Petersburg, and she is an accountant, and she has a lot of work, you know, a lot of paperwork, and she gave a little part of her work to me, and I had to do that once a month. So I had to put the numbers which I got on a paper, like on a document, to an accountant program. So that was my task, and she paid me around like $15 a month. Of course it's ridiculous, but for me it was okay because it was extra money that I could invest in my mortgage. And my parents were working almost without weekends, almost all the time, like you know, like 7 days a week, to be able to help me. Oh my God. To be able to help me to pay my mortgage, and that's how we managed to pay it not very long term, you know. So that is my strategy. You just have multiple jobs, you just have everybody in your family to help you. And you know, here we pass to another topic of this video. I can say that it's our like national strategy, like people's strategy. So Russian parents, many Russian parents, they try all their best to give all the best to their children, like helping them to buy apartments, because you know, nowadays there are not so many ways that a young Russian family can have an apartment. Only 2 ways, like inheriting your grandparents' apartment, which they got from the USSR for free, and then your life is good. You're basically is very prosperous person. And the other strategy is if you don't have such relatives who can leave their apartments to your family, so you have to buy it with your own money. That is the second strategy, and you have to take mortgage, you know. So Russian parents do all their best to help their children to buy apartments with mortgage, or if a person gets even a slightest opportunity to save for a appropriate amount of money to buy an apartment for their children, they do it. They also have multiple jobs. They also, like you know, don't afford many things themselves, but they give their money to their children. So that's what my parents did. Yes, they live in a small town. It's not even a city, it's a small town with very scarce opportunities for work, but they did all their best to save for that down payment, you know. We paid for that shared apartment room. We paid the down payment of $600 180,000 rubles or 70,000 rubles. So, and that amount of money my parents were saving like for about 10 years, maybe even more. And they paid for my education as well, because as a student I didn't have money to pay that. So I think they were able to save it by not having many things themselves. They didn't travel at all. I don't remember my mom and dad even going to Minsk for vacation. They didn't have even that. They didn't even go to Minsk for like leisure or relaxing or going to restaurants. No, they were living only in our small town without traveling anywhere except for their dacha. They didn't buy much clothes. They didn't buy much stuff, only the needed ones. And all the money that they had extra, they were saving for me and my brother. And that is the strategy of many families in Russia. Of course, not all the families are like that. I had a friend here who came from Siberia, and she settled here, and when she decided to buy an apartment, her parents didn't help her. So she had to do everything by herself. And basically she is also from a very small town in Siberia. So she was even in a worse position than me, but she is an engineer, so she has the opportunity to earn more than I. And that is how it works in Russia. And now let's move to the second part of that comment. Apparently, Russians are not as poor as made out. I don't know anyone with 2 properties and capable of paying that kind of down payment on even one place, and I reside in America. Maybe it's us that should create in videos crying we are poor and the world needs to help us back for all our aid. Over 40 billion to Ukraine, well over in a matter of a month, and an additional 13-14 billion, that's billion with a B. No wonder America has become the poor and broken nation. Russians are making out quite well. You aren't even employed with much salary, and you clearly have parents who were smart and generous and cared to help you. So if you think that with all that I told you just a minute ago, if I'm rich, that of course I'm rich. I'm a rich person, rich, pure rich. And it's not only my case. For example, I have a certain circle of friends here. It's not a very big circle, but still, the most people that I know have one full-time job and at least one side job. So some people have 2 side jobs, and my former friend had 3 side jobs except for her full-time job. So 4 jobs. She was doing 4 jobs at a time. Just imagine that. That's how it is in Russia. I think it's only my opinion that most Russians, most of us, have side jobs to be able to live a normal life. We have to have side jobs. And there is a saying in Russia, "Хочешь жить, умей вертеться," which is can be translated as, if you want to survive, you have to whirl constantly. Like this, not to stop, to make money, always making money. And when I had 2 side jobs, I was leaving my home at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I came back only around 10 p.m. in the evening. So it's quite a lot of work, you know. So that's how we get things in Russia. And you know, Melissa, about Americans start making videos about how they are poor. You know, actually it's quite a good idea. I highly suggest that you start a YouTube channel. So if you have to say to the world something, to tell, if you have a point in your life, and if you want to help people in a way with your videos, of course you can start making videos. Of course, it's a very good idea. So if you maybe you are knitting, maybe you are cooking, maybe you are crocheting, maybe you repair cars, maybe you have just a message to the world, just give it with the help of video. Just start a YouTube channel. I highly recommend it to you. Even if you are a retired person, start a YouTube channel. Of course, maybe it will take a year, maybe it will take 2 years to start making money on YouTube, but you should start that. It's really a good idea, and you will be able to make extra money, maybe not millions, maybe not thousands of dollars, but a few $100 you will be able to earn in a year, or maybe even less. Why not? Just try it. And now let me tell you why I bought this apartment. So if you watch my channel for quite a long time, you know that I was renting an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment with my friend. You know, of course I was dreaming about my own apartment in St. Petersburg, but I was not planning to buy anything, because you know, I had plans for my channel. I wanted to travel Russia and to show you more places of Russia, more faraway places, and I was saving money for that. But in December 2020 we had a big fight with my friend, and we stopped being friends, but we continued renting together. So in February 2021 she started to looking for a new apartment for her to purchase without telling me, basically, and she told me only after the closing. Like 1 month before she would plan to move out. So I had only 1 month to decide what to do. You know, my friend just showed her a real face, and you know, of course I had some options to continue renting that apartment on my own, or to find a roommate. But you know, by that time all my friends who were like me renting apartments, they just got either their own apartment, or they just were married with children, and you know, that was not an option for me. Renting that apartment myself was not also an option for me, because it was quite expensive for me alone. There was an option to find a new apartment for renting, 1-room apartment, but you know, the problem was that in 2021 the prices for apartments for purchase increased significantly by 30-35%, and thus the rent prices also went up, like, I don't know, like maybe 15, maybe 10-15%. And you know, and again, all I could afford to rent like comfortably, to pay comfortably was a granny design apartment again. And you know, I'm not that young to rent such kinds of apartment. I got really tired of renting granny design apartments. You know, I just wanted to have something of modern design, like at least like here I have here, you know. And I decided to start looking for apartments to buy, and I had only 1 month to decide and to get the deal, you know, to close that deal with this apartment. So thanks to my former friend, it was a very stressful time for me, because I really stressed out a lot, because, you know, I had to cancel all my plans for my channel. I had to cancel all my plans for traveling, and you know, I bought this apartment before all this conflict with Ukraine, this major conflict with Ukraine. I bought it in 2021, and nobody told me that our president would go to Ukraine. You know, nobody warned me. Maybe if somebody did, maybe I just got to think twice, but this is how I ended up with 2 pieces of property. And yes, I wanted to keep my room in a shared apartment just because I wanted to help my mom with to give her money, which I would get from renting that out. Unfortunately, the monthly payment for this apartment was not very comfortable for me. It was 37,000 and almost 600 rubles a month, and it was not a comfortable payment. After paying like 3 or 4 months, I understood that it's not comfortable at all. You know, I still had some thoughts of going somewhere to show you other places of Russia, but that was not possible because I just didn't have enough money for that. So I decided to sell it, you know. And now I will tell you why. What was the main idea of keeping my room in a shared apartment. And now I would like to share one more of our Russian reality and our Russian tendency. So the general idea for my kommunalka room was that I will keep it as an investment to my future, like pension or future living, you know, when I retire. Or maybe with the time I would be able to sell it and to buy, for example, a studio apartment. But why did I want to do that? You know, starting from 1990, like this 32 years, we had, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 crises, or maybe even more crises. And during those crises, people were losing their savings, like the half of their savings at least. There were crises like in 1990 and in 1998 when people lost their all savings, just all. And with the course of time, our people just understood that the Russian financial system is not reliable. And your pension that you get from the government, like monthly pension allowance, is not enough for comfortable living, even when you are retired and you don't have you know, so many things to pay for. But a certain amount of money goes for medical stuff, like tablets, pills, treatments. Of course, the most treatments are free for our retired people, but they still have to buy medicines, and that is a big amount of their budget. Like maybe it's the biggest. people just understood that investing like in Russian ruble, in Russian investment funds, is not reliable. Especially, for example, my mom, she lost her investments in 90s, because in 90s there was a program when they were forced to buy bonds and shares of some companies, but then those companies went bankrupt and people lost all their money that they spent for that shares, and thus our people don't trust our investment system and our financial system. And many people who have even a slight opportunity to save money from their salaries, not every Russian have such an opportunity, because millions of Russians live paycheck to paycheck. But if a person gets a slightest opportunity to save, they save money, and they take a mortgage, or they buy an apartment or a room in a shared apartment as an investment for their future. And that's why some people in Russia end up having one or two extra apartments, because thus is their way to not to go poor when they are retired, and that is the way that they can afford more things when they are retired. Because for example, some pensions may be like $200 or $180. My mom lives in Belarus, and her pension allowance is even less. She gets like 100 maybe and $60, something like that, and that is not enough to cover all the needs for a retired person. Yes, they don't travel. Yes, they don't go to restaurants or cafes or bars, but there are a lot of other things that you have to pay for. My mom now has to buy quite a lot of medicines, and she would like to have some extra money, but she wasn't able to save for her pension, because she was helping me to buy this apartment, because this apartment is also belongs to her, not only mine, because a part of the money that I spent on this apartment is her money, because she gave me money to buy that Kommunalka room, which I just sold a month ago. So this apartment is not fully mine, it's my mom's too. And that was my strategy for my pension too. Just buy some apartments, at least one studio apartment, to be able to live a more or less comfortable life when I retire. But it seems like it's not the strategy anymore. So, my dear friends, that's why some people in Russia end up with one apartment in which they live and another apartment which they rent out, because they need money and they were working hard for that apartment for all their lives. And now that I'm having this apartment, I feel obliged to my mom. That's why I wanted to keep it and to help her. But now, with all that conflict, with all that our president is doing, there is not. This strategy is not reliable for me anymore, because now I have to relocate, I have to work for that, and I have to start all over again. I don't know, because I will have to still be paying mortgage for this apartment for at least 10 years, 11 years, and in my target country I will have to start all over again. I will be a migrant with almost no money, with no apartments to live, who have to rent. And in our culture in Russia, renting is not the best strategy for our people, because our people like to live in their own apartment, because when you rent, renting apartments is not really regulated at all. You can be kicked out of your rented apartment at any time. And when people rent their apartments, they don't feel safe, because really at any time you just can be kicked out. And almost in every case you cannot change that apartment in any way. Some owners doesn't even allow to hang out a picture or mount a TV on a wall, because they are afraid that they will have holes in their walls, and it's not very comfortable when you cannot amend that apartment like you want it, because many owners are afraid that you will just ruin their apartment, but by making holes in their walls or making other stuff, so you cannot do anything. You just get your apartment and you live as it is, and you cannot change anything there. So that's why so many people in Russia don't like to rent. They prefer to have multiple jobs, but to be able to afford mortgage. So here is my strategy to be rich in Russia. So you have a full-time job, you have 1, 2, or 3 side jobs. So now you are able to take a mortgage for a room in a shared apartment, which is kommunalka in Russia. You also ask whole your family to work for that mortgage, and thus you are able to pay it quicker. Then in 5 years after you paid this room in a shared apartment, not 5, 6 years, you just buy another. You save money for your other project, but then your friend screws up and you have to buy an apartment, and you take all the money that you planned for your project and buy a new apartment for you, and now you're basically rich. And now you're rich, but you're very uncomfortable with the monthly mortgage payment, with your new mortgage payment. So you have to sell your shared apartment room, and that's how we do that in Russia. That's the strategy. So I think that if you do that in your country, in America or any other country, you will be able to do the same. That's how Russians basically get rich. So do that in America. And something in my mind, tells me that you will be okay with a full-time job and multiple other jobs. So that is my strategy. So my dear friends, that is all for today. I hope that you learned something new about Russia and about me. I didn't mean to complain, just I tried to explain how we do the stuff, how we whirl around, a lot to be able to maintain our basic things, which as far as I know you may get with only one full-time job in America, but maybe it's not. Just write a comment on that in the comment section. I'm just curious, do you have multiple jobs in your countries or not? So just give me your feedback on that. And that's how it works in Russia. So my dear friends, thank you for watching this video. Give it a like if you like this video, and see you in the next one. Bye.